Welcome along to episode 770 of the Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show this week, we'll be hearing how workplace comparisons can affect people's mental health. Dr. Alex George joining us for that one. We'll be having an answer with Gary A. Wales all about Dark Forest, his latest film. Harper and Hubble let us know about their latest album, and we get to hear a track from that. We'll be having an answer with Onjali Rauf all about The Boy at the Back of the Class, which is at the Grand in April. And we'll be finding out too about the World Water Day work that's been done by Duncan Goose and the team at the One Foundation from One Water. That's all coming up on the show this week.
Welcome to the Milk Bar. 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 Welcome to the Milk Bar.
Now, Gary A. Wales has a brand new movie project to work on. Dark Forest is the title. Currently going through funding and then into the pre-production stages. And he joins us now to tell us a bit about what he's up to. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I hope we find you one. It's good to catch up with you again.
Yes, it's been a while.
It has, and I mean, Rage has been doing great things. It's been winning awards and can be seen online through subscription. So that's one that's worth checking out. We'll point everybody in the direction of all of your work at the end of this. But an exciting new project, and Nevis Studios are working hard to bring this one to the screen.
Yes, Dark Forest. I'm looking forward to this one. This is the first mainstream from me. I am now moving away from topic projects and moving into mainstream things that people will actually be able to follow a storyline and sit down and enjoy.
People have enjoyed Rage from a highlighting a situation point of view, but
Right.
it was very much an awareness piece, and this time it is just pure storytelling.
Yes, exactly.
So where does the tale begin?
The tale begins where a young girl called Anna goes missing, and we follow these two detectives through their case to figure out exactly what's happened with her. And it turns out that there is a serial killer, and it's their quest to basically find this girl. But it turns out that she's not the only one. So it's a suspense, thriller, crime, drama. This one is shot in Scotland. It's filmed in Glencoe and Glasgow. And then we will be leaving this piece on a cliffhanger, as I am going to be producing a series on it right afterwards.
And
So,
you are playing one of the detectives, Danny, and obviously a harrowing time for any detective involved in the sort of cases that we're looking at here. So it's going to bring
yeah,
raw emotion to the screen once more, and test your acting talents. And I know that you'll rise to that.
yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. There's a scene that I've written in that I'm really looking forward to. It includes my own stunts, which is nice. So,
Okay, so we'll hope they all go to plan. But I
yeah.
mean, you're bringing in people from around the UK on this, which is one of the reasons that we're going to have a bit of a natter about this, because I know you've been recruiting, and I know you work with some great talented professionals from across the industry.
Yep, yep. We're using the vast of the UK to try and obviously get this going. We've got some incredible people on this already. Right now we have casted completely, which is great. And now we're looking at crew and stuff. We have our director of photography on board. We have our behind the scenes team ready to go. Everything's starting to fall into place, which is really nice. So we are about to reach out to Creative Scotland and Screen Scotland to get more funding. So hopefully we'll be able to get that as well.
You've got a crowdfunder which has seen people from all over the UK again putting
Yep.
cash into the project.
Yep. So the crowdfunder done really well. It's now finished. We did raise roughly about £3,000 on there. We got quite a vast majority from America, surprisingly. But I think that was obviously due to my supporters and stuff over there in the States. But no, it's they done incredible, and I'm very thankful for all the support that they've obviously gave me, and of course they believe in me as well. So that's great. They've obviously seen Rage, and they've seen other projects that I've done, and they've obviously jumped on that bandwagon and followed me. So yeah.
But again, this is all part of the work that you put in, and I mean, you've worked in so many different areas. Everything from the clothing line we've seen previously through to the work that you've done on a number of film and theatre projects, and the TV work too. And again, this is all part of wanting to really share in telling stories, engaging with your audience, and it really getting a feel for the actor's craft, isn't it?
Yep, exactly. And it's one thing that I learned, especially on Rage. Lara, that played my wife in it, she thanked me because she says, it's very hard to come across an actor that's also the director. So she prefers that because obviously, as the actor and director, they know the story, they know how the other characters should be, and it's great collaboration. So it's very helpful, and especially with me directing this. So Forrest is getting directed with me and Heather Mitchell.
Mhm.
So we're doing this, and then of course I'm going to be taking the lead detective role on this. So I think have me be in that role and creating these roles for people, it's definitely going to help in regards to the directing aspect. Because I mean, as you've seen from like Rage and stuff like that, for example, Colton that played Bailey that played my son Colton. I had to work with him a little bit to obviously bring him up to his scene and whatnot. So I enjoy becoming their character as a director and helping them get through that process of securing and destroying that role per se. So yeah.
And you get to show us some amazing scenery as well. I mean, you're going to be one of those films which is going to end up on places to visit to enjoy the scenic experience afterwards as well. So you've got
Yes.
some glorious actual dark forests to run around, and the access to some seaside too.
Yes, the Glencoe is beautiful. The location that we've chosen is amazing. We've actually got the five cottages that Universal Studios and Warner Brothers used for Harry Potter.
Mhm.
So we're right opposite the Hagrid's hut, so which is awesome. I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, so I mean I love it. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. The scenery is going to be amazing. We're working in rivers, we're working in lakes. Like it's gonna be incredible.
And where do you see this series running to? Obviously, you've already told us we're getting a sequel. It's going to be a known run of stories, but how big a project do you think this is going to be overall?
So Dark Forest on its own. So this one we're going to be looking at about 45 to 50 minutes. We're going to use that, and obviously we'll leave it on a cliffhanger. My plan is that I do want to make a series out of it. I'm planning on doing 5 seasons run,
Mhm.
roughly about 60 episodes, so about 12 episodes per season. This one is going to be shot entirely in the States, probably up like Seattle, Oregon, around that coastline, because that's where the clouds are lower, it's rainy, and it's quite darker up there for that kind of thing. So yeah, the series is definitely going to be on the American side, and you never know. I mean, the whole purpose of the this movie is to obviously get executive producers and potential distributors on board, ready to go for the series. So I will be reaching out to like Paramount Plus and Hulu and AMC and stuff like that, and see if they'd be interested.
Yeah, well, I know that they've had experience of your projects in the past. I'm sure they will be keen to get in touch in future. And of course, you've some
Yeah.
great contacts in the industry as well from the amazing work that you've done so far. So, where do we go to find out about all your projects? Have we got a set place where we can find a link tree or similar?
Yes, so nevastudios.com is where you will find most of my stuff. But of course, through my website, garyawales.com. Rage is actually now available on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. It went up 2 weeks ago, so it's now available there for anyone that does want to watch it. And of course, my social media, Gary A. Wales, as well. But yeah, that's where you can find everything. And of course, IMDb.
Yep, check out the details there. See the back catalogue and enjoy the work that is still to come. As you're going to be a very busy young man as time moves forward. I can see that coming. Always good to speak to you, Gary A. Wales, friend of the show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to more info on Dark Forest as the story continues.
Bye.
Now, a book is being brought to life on the stage of Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 16th through to the 20th of April. It is The Boy at the Back of the Class. Onjali Q Rauf is the author and joins me now. Hello.
Hello, Jason. Hello. Hi. Such an honor. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's an honour for me to have you along, and in particular this fine piece of work, which has been a work of note and now has become a stage play, allowing more people to hear the story.
Yes, it's such an honor for that to happen, and it's very surreal for it to have happened as well. I've been to see the show quite a few times now, and every time it's different. Every audience is different. Every town is different. So I'm really hoping that anybody who goes to see it will really appreciate what's been done with the story.
Now, Amit is the young lad who is the centre of the story after the empty chair at the back of the classroom has been filled.
Yes, it is. And Ahmet is basically a mystery figure at the beginning of the book, and the narrator is very much of the story as he is. So the narrator sees this boy walk in. He's very pale, doesn't speak English yet, has a bag that is tattered and torn, and has eyes like a lion. So he's very fascinating for the narrator who's watching him walk in. And when the narrator finds out that this boy is a refugee, they are desperate to be friends with him, and ensues this epic adventure.
Yes, and the adventure itself is, but again, part of the joy of telling this story, isn't it? And the fact that we're coming from an angle where Amit's part of a community who may not be understood by everybody, may be discriminated against purely for his background and not for any other reason, and absolutely no good reason at all. So this brings an interesting way of enlightening people, but also telling a blooming good story at the same time.
I hope so. And yeah, definitely. It's definitely centered around questions, not just around this boy, but also how does society act to someone who's walking in with such a tortured background, with such a really painful history. So this boy who represents for me and for so many readers of mine, refugees from around the world, what happens when you're faced with someone who is not able to convey their story to you just yet. So it's centered around questions, and that's why the narrator in the book is so desperate to be like Tintin. They want to get their questions out, they want to get their questions answered, and it's on that kind of path to having those questions answered that this adventure ensues, and it leads them to the gates of Buckingham Palace.
Sounds like a great place to go and visit. So that works. But I mean, how did the journey from book to stage play begin for you? Because I mean, winning prizes back in 2019, which are very well deserved, it was a starting point, and that got you the attention that really took this to the next level.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't write books for the awards. We write books because we want to get our stories out. We hope that they'll be picked up. But the awards definitely propel the story into in ways that I can't possibly even count even today. But it's propelling kind of led to schools and teachers and librarians and the kids, and what they've done with this book after picking it up has been absolutely incredible. So it kind of got picked up a couple of years later by Rose Theatre production team, and we got stalled because of lockdown, and now it's finally come out after all these years. But Nick Ahad is a script writer. He is a presenter like yourself, and he has done such an amazing job of bringing out Ahmet's raw. Ahmet is a boy at the back of the class, so his raw is more present in the play. And I've been very lucky because I don't think many authors get the chance to kind of edit as the play gets developed, but they've allowed me to come in and say what I don't like, what I do like, and then we've kind of met on even ground. So I'm really proud of where it is right now, and I'm really proud of the reactions it's ensuing as well. So it's really, really exciting.
But they've been able to keep your humor. They've been able to add in the fact that you've now got them in 3D, so it isn't just your mind's eye that's casting the pictures. You've got real
No.
people to tell the story, and yeah, terrific twist too.
Yes, I'm glad I'm glad that there's a twist. And that's all Nick. That's all Nick. That's not me. So what he's done is he's propelled Ahmet's story in a way that's not expected. I've been really relieved to see that that's not been too jarring for the audience who've come in and have read the book. But yeah, I'm so proud of everything he's done with the story, and to see it in 3D and to see, real life people on a real life stage speaking the words that have been trapped in your head for so long, or on a page for so long, is really, really surreal and really exciting and wonderful. It's a gift beyond a gift. So I just want to thank Nick and Monique, the director, for allowing that voice to come through that we weren't expecting maybe after having read the book.
We've got an epic journey here. Does the journey continue?
Does the journey continue? I hope so. I hope so. I think kids are watching the play or reading the book and continuing lots of journeys that I don't see or hear about. Some of them I do. I get letters about adventures that kids have gone on to try and help refugees in their areas, which is really amazing. But I hope so. I hope it continues in lots of ways that I don't see, and also ways that I do see as well. Fingers crossed.
But lemon sherbets, do they continue to feature in your life? I mean, is this something you're telling us about yourself here when it comes down to those sharp, sugary sweets?
Always, always a lemon sherbet, no matter how hairy or fairy it is, always tastes good. And it's a great beginning to a friendship if you can offer a lemon sherbet to someone who clearly needs a little bit of sweetness, sharp sweetness in their life.
Yeah, and I think friendship is at the center of this, isn't it? It is about sometimes unexpected friends, and those you suddenly you warm to, you understand, and you get to know someone's background. And actually, with I mean, coming from such a war torn background, and something which is so real for so many kids who have either arrived in the UK or are scattered throughout Europe, away from their families, and really not knowing what's going to happen next, and to get an understanding of that. I mean, we have lived a charmed life in the UK, even in spite of everything, even in spite of the cost of living crisis. It is still nothing compared to what some people around the world are going through.
Absolutely. And I think it's really painful for some people to remember just how lucky we are and how lucky our kids are. And that, as you say, like even with, food banks everywhere and people on poverty lines and children having to come to school hungry, that at least there's some kind of light. We're not going through war. We're not going through bombs being dropped on our homes. And I think it's very easy for us to shield ourselves from the impact of that on humans around the world. And that in essence leads to ignorance, and the ignorance leads to fear, and the fear leads to shunning people out from our lives. So yeah, friendship is the one key that will break all of that down. It is the golden ticket to making sure that everyone has humanity at their core. And I've seen friendship change not only the lives of the people extending, the people to whom that friendship is extended, but the people who are also extending their arms to that friendship. So it's kind of really it's life plate shifting and life saving, and will open up worlds in huge ways. And I'm hoping that the friendship of these kids on stage will inspire a lot of people to go away and go, hey, I can do this. It's so easy. I can actually extend that lemon sherbet, or extend that pomegranate, or extend my arms, and let's see where this takes us and what adventure that takes us on. It's pretty unique and wonderful whenever I see that happening around the world.
Well, that adventure is on stage at Wolverhampton's Grand Theatre from the 16th through to the 20th of April. Amit will take you on a journey, his journey and the journey of his friends that travel with him. You will love this story, brought to life by the Children's Theatre Partnership and Rose Theatre. Onjali Rauf, congratulations on all of your work. May the many, many awards continue to come in as you continue to write. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you pop along to see this show in Wolverhampton as it takes on another part of the UK.
Oh, I'll definitely be there. It'll be on a mystery day. So if you see me in the audience, come say hello and give me a wave. But Jason, thank you so much for having me, and ditto to you. Thank you for telling our stories and sharing our stories out there to the world.
Andy Hubble and Paul Harper join me now to tell me what's been going on with their music. Hello, boys.
Oh yeah.
Right, so who's going to volunteer to tell me what's happening? Because I know you've been working hard on a brand new album, because I've got a copy of it.
What did you think of it?
Well, I haven't listened to it yet. I was going to wait until we'd spoken, to be fair.
Oh,
I haven't had chance. It's been mad. I've literally just unzipped the file. So it's poised, ready to listen to after we've spoken. So tell me what I'm listening for.
Well, well, shall I start, and
yeah,
well,
go on, Paul.
It's probably a slight kind of like diversion from what we've done in the past, in the fact that this particular album actually has a few cover tracks. There's a lot of our original material on there, which is what we like to concentrate on. But there's a couple of I think there's about 4 tracks on there of other artists that we've included, and I don't think it was a conscious decision, particularly as I recall it. And Andy might have a different thought or recollection on this, but as I remember it, Andy, we had a session booked, and I was going to bring a track in which I had been working on, and it wasn't really working out, and we thought, we're going to waste a session here, because it's just one of those days. And I think you said to me, well, do you know any covers? And I said, yeah, of course you do. We all know covers in. And so we just picked one out and started one of them that appeared on the album, and it went quite well. So we just thought, oh, well, that sounded good. It shows another string to our bow. So yeah, we just put another couple on, but it's predominantly our material. But there's a couple of covers by the Eagles on there. There's a George Harrison track and a Neil Young track. So
the album is Just Another Day. So the title track, is track one. What's going on here then? Andy, is this one of your main bits of work?
Well, what the title of the track?
Well, both, to be fair.
Both then. Well, it's one of Paul and my tracks to start with, but the album was titled. The problem with us, we do have a problem with getting titles together. When we start working on things, we'll say this track, that track, or we might even give them silly names. And then eventually, especially when Paul's got the vocals, if I provide the music, it could be called Don't Know. So Paul will come up with some lyrics for it, and whatever the lyrics call for, that's what we actually name the track. But the album, we've decided this time around. I mean, we've had some weird and wonderful titles. This is our 5th album, by the way. So we've gone from This Other World to Just Another Day, because again, it's just another day for us. We're always working on the next project after we've got something out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just another day for us.
Yeah, I think that particular track, it was one that I was working on anyway, wasn't it? I think that
Yeah.
it was partially completed when I brought it in, and
Yeah.
so, but we titled it, but we were going to call the album something else, but we kind of like got away from that idea because it was very hard to kind of incorporate that into a cover, to be
It
honest.
may still come. That's why you don't mention it, because it could be the next album or the one
Could
after
be,
that.
yeah, it could be the next one, yeah. But I say, like, we'd like to feel that there's a kind of like a nice kind of like variety of different moods and tracks that will hopefully appeal to a lot of people. From a bit of rock on there, there's some ballady stuff that we do. There's some a bit of electro stuff, some more kind of synthy stuff, and we've mixed it in with a few classics that people should recognise straight away, when they hear the track. So it might just give another string to our bow, and so. But we didn't do it because we were running out of material particularly. We could have filled it up with our own material, but we just like the vibe. We just thought, oh yeah, that sounds good, and it's nice, to do tracks from people you admire and people that we've listened to over the years, and see how ours compares to theirs. I mean, it's just how we can stack up. So yeah, it was just a departure from that.
But I mean,
Yeah,
you've got to produce an
reason-
album that you want to listen to as well, and I think that again, that's another bonus here, that you think, hang on, yeah, I fancy a change.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't like to kind of we like to go down different roads. We don't like to keep doing the same thing, and we like to try and stretch ourselves and try different things, and that keeps it interesting for us, as well as hopefully for the listeners and anybody that's listening to the album.
I've had a few people say in the past, "Oh, you do your own music? Don't you do anything that we know?" And you think, okay, so that really shuts these people up as well.
Sometimes it's a window into other things as well, because if people can hear something, oh, we know that track, we'll have a listen to that. Then hopefully that could be a springboard to say, oh yeah, we like the way they did that. Then it could maybe like open up a few doors for us. Oh, well, let's have a listen to what else these guys are doing. So there is a bit of a method to the madness as well. It wasn't just an ego trip in the sense, oh, we'll just do a few covers that we know. But it's just a different direction for us a little bit. But I guess in future we'll probably stick mainly to to our own material, because that's what we enjoy doing the most.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a little idea up our sleeve this year to put on the next album, but that's for a 50th year anniversary of a very famous artist, so we're going to put one of his tracks on, so we'll do that.
Okay, we'll see how that works out. But I mean, you've got 13 tracks on here, and to be fair, 9 is the number of tracks you might expect on a long player from back in the day anyway. So these are bonus tracks.
Yeah, well, yes, that's a good way of putting it, really. Yeah, I think we just tried to do something a little bit different, and something that maybe not our usual listeners might think, oh yeah, well, we know that track. Because as Andy said, when people, it's the same old thing. You go out and do a gig, you play a few of your own, but you're always going to get one or two points to say, do you know that cover? It's just the par for the course. People very often want to hear something that they're familiar with, and but I think that can be a door into other things.
And you talked about playing live. Is there a tour to tie in with this?
No, not really. I mean, we've said in the past, really, to do this properly, you either go out and have a lot of backing tapes, or we actually hire the Electric Light Orchestra.
There's a lot of layers to your music.
Yeah, you know, I mean, because there's lots of strings in there, but yeah, I did work it out that we would need a band similar to the Electric Light Orchestra to reproduce on stage what we do recording.
We could strip things back to be like when we came into you a few years ago, Jason, actually, and we did the little set and we did the interview actually with you there. And we did the acoustic version of one of the tracks. I mean, you know, some of the tracks will work that way. Our other option, as Andy says, is to, you know, spin in some backing, which I suppose as long as we're playing live over it. So it's not something that we've totally, you know, kind of disregarded. You know, if we can find the right environments to promote our music and getting people to listen to live music or original live music, it's not something that we've completely ruled out. You know, I mean, I certainly would not be averse to doing something live if we can find the right environment to do it. You know.
Can I just chip in there, though, Paul, that a lot of gigs that were available are no longer
Oh
available.
yeah, we know that now. Yeah, it's
and a lot of the gigs that are still around, they only really want cover bands.
Of course, yes, we know this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So
that's a bit of a disappointment as well, isn't it? Because there is so much good music out there, yourselves and so many other people I see. And I mean, it's almost as if you're waiting for your big break to turn up on Top of the Pops, which of course is no longer on tellies anymore.
No, I remember Top of the Pops from the 70s. You literally had an hour to re-record all of your music and then try and either sing it live or mime it.
Yeah, and that's it's not quite what we're looking for with the work that you're doing, but it'd be interesting to see where this progresses. And of course, people can self promote so easily these days. It is great to see the availability of these tracks. And how are you releasing? Are the real CDs as well as digital copies?
Well, it's the costs of real CDs is the problem. I mean, our deal with Andrews UK is to release digitally. They could produce CDs for us, but the only problem is if you run, say, 500 CDs off, it's trying to get shops to actually sell them.
Yeah.
And you go back into the old problem of the old days of singles, where if you don't get them out in time and get them sold in time, then your chance at any form of charts has gone out the window.
Yeah.
And the other option, I know a lot of artists that have got boxes and boxes of CDs in their spare bedrooms because they just couldn't ship them.
Yeah.
So, if you like, we use the green approach.
That's a good way of putting it. You still get some artwork though, which is always a treat, and you get to listen to 13 fantastic tracks. And are there any music videos out there for any of this at the moment as well?
Not so much the original videos that we did for the other albums. Certain tracks off the other albums are still out there on YouTube. I mean, even this interview will end up on YouTube at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
Well, and we keep linking back to you, Jason. So we've permanently got you on our website.
We do like that. I like to be there, so it's always good to share. But it does mean that we should share some of your music now. So, do we take the title track then to whet people's appetites for the whole album?
Yeah. I mean, it seems popular enough. We've had a few blogs review the album, and that's one of the tracks that people do like. You know, so
surely there's none they don't like.
I think they came up with the. I think they like Blind Ambition, which is a bit different actually. That was one that I co-wrote with John Dietrich, who does some lyrics with us occasionally, and Andy added a lot to the track as well. Obviously, when we got it into production and got it to the studio, so that's a kind of a bit of a different vibe. And that one's been picked out a bit, and. If you wanted to play one of the covers, you pick any one of them. There's two Eagles tracks that on there. There's a George Harrison, Here Comes the Sun. There's Old Man, Neil Young. You know, they say if you fancy knocking one of them on there for one of our covers, then you pick one.
We'll dig something else along those lines too. I think it's going to be Here Comes the Sun for me because I do love that song anyway. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with it.
Oh, do you hear both of us singing then? On that one?
Value for money. That's all good. Right. Okay. Let's get all the socials and all the websites, please.
Website https. So it's a protected website. harperhubble.com.
Yep.
We're on Facebook. We've got a Facebook page. We're on X. We're on LinkedIn. So we've got a LinkedIn page, and I think we're all over the place, really.
YouTube as well. We've got stuff up on YouTube as well, haven't we?
Yeah,
And
YouTube, yeah.
YouTube channel, yeah. So that's
You're
what-
I
everywhere.
mean, YouTube's a double whammy because the record company also puts some of our music on YouTube as well as
Mhm.
us.
Yeah.
But I like to add a little bit extra with what we put up, and all the links for YouTube from our point of view is through our website anyway.
Harper and Hubble is what you're looking for. Andy Hubble, Paul Harper, the men behind the music, and having a jolly good time doing it all too. Thank you both, and we're now going to take a listen to Just Another Day.
Cheers. All the best.
Thanks for having us.
Each fleeting passing moment, every hour of the day, it's been so long. Every breath that I take seems to linger on. They seem so long. See your face in my dreams. I wipe a tear away to face the day. Give us back each and every moment. They all appear so vague. It's all so strange. It seems so long, I should have stayed. It feels strange, there's something wrong. You haven't called, dreams sometimes fade. It's just another day. I'm still a part of you, though you're so far away. I'm here to stay. I'll spare in love and war, though I could be wrong. I'm wrong. It seems so long, I should have stayed. It feels strange, there's something wrong. You haven't called, dreams sometimes fade. It's just another day.
Workplace comparisons are causing people issues with their mental health with an array of different things that people are looking at in the workplace when actually we can just get on with our own job and hopefully not worry too much about others. To tell us more, I'm joined now by mental health advocate Eugene Farrell and also by Dr. Alex George. Good afternoon to you both.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Good to be
Hi,
here,
Jason.
have you along. Now, AXA Healthcare in the UK have got you as a health lead, Eugene. So tell us a little, first of all, about the research that you've done.
So this is the fourth version of our mind health study that we've run. It looks at 16,000 people aged 18 to 74 across 16 countries. That covers Europe, Asia, and America. So broad study overall. The kind of highlights that we saw really were that 1 in 5 people, 20. Actually, I need to explain the categories first, because what we do in this study is we categorize people into 4 different areas. Those that are flourishing, they've got the pinnacle of mind health. Those that are getting by, they'll have some areas of good well-being, but not necessarily flourishing. Those that are languishing, so that's the term that we use, which is an absence of positive well-being, and those that are struggling, which is associated with psychological distress, for example. And we found in the UK that 20% of people, that's 1 in 5, are currently in the struggling category, and a further third are in that languishing category. So that's over half of people in the kind of bottom 2 categories to be concerned about.
Yeah, Alex, when you saw this research, I mean, were you surprised by the things that people were comparing themselves on?
Well, I mean, first of all, the part of the shocking part of the research is like, well, to be honest with you, quite how badly UK fares across the rest of Europe, being the worst in the Europe comparatively, and how many people, half of people being in that languishing and struggling group, which is pretty shocking. I think the surprising part of it, yes, is around the comparison and how much of an impact that actually has in terms of mental mind, well-being and health. So half of people saying that actually this comparison is having a real negative impact, and I guess it ties into a bigger picture of work-based culture. If there's toxicity at work as well, if there's not the presence of kind of positive mental health and a kind of an environment of positive culture, and there's not the kind of support that people need, that kind of that kind of combination is quite a toxic one, really, in terms of people's mind and mental well-being. In terms of comparison, I think what's happened probably over the last few years is that as you've had the rise of social media, and social media is used not only just as a social platform now, it's people use it for their work, they post content. In many ways, they actually use it to kind of show their career work and their progression, and that allows greater comparison. I mean, a friend of mine who's a psychiatrist says that it can be quite triggering being online on social media, because they look at what other psychiatrists are doing and how much they're publishing, what conferences they're going to. So it adds this pressure, and ultimately we're not a different person at home as to who we are at work. Yes, we might present slightly different versions of ourselves, but it's the same brain and it's the same body. So what you experience at work and the things you take away from that does have a huge impact on the rest of your life. And we spend a lot of time at work, so we do really need to focus on how important work-based mental health actually is.
Yeah, Eugene, I mean, talking there about what we were bearing and social media, and whether you're looking at the standard socials or whether the work social sites, something like LinkedIn, as Alex says, you are looking at people's job titles, their career paths, how that may or may not affect you, but even down to what people are wearing is coming into question here, and making comparisons that way, and that is sometimes difficult to cope with outside of work, let alone in work too.
Yeah, it can be, can't it? I mean, our data showed it's quite a surprising figure, and I didn't have a figure in my own mind of how often we might compare ourselves to others, but our data showed that it was 3 times a day, so 15 times a week. So if we're looking at social media, as you say, both work and non-work, there's a lot of comparison going on. And I think that the thing to consider about all of this is how much of it is real. Like we're seeing different versions of people based upon how they want to put that into the kind of social world, and that may not be a genuine comparison. So although we may be seeing somebody, as you say, somebody dressed well, or somebody doing this or doing that, and that may be affecting our own comparisons of what we're achieving in our life, it doesn't mean that it's a genuine comparison, because we don't know that's real.
And Alex, I mean, I know you often wear your heart on your sleeve. You share your highs, your lows, your recent weight loss that you've been documenting online and things like that as well. And all of this, I mean, it serves to inspire and talk through. And you've always been one for the conversation rather than just the images, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, something I'm very aware of is that, I have quite a few people that follow me online, and I really want to show people the good, the bad, the ugly as much as I can. I have to have some privacy and some boundaries to what I share, because we need to keep a piece of ourselves for ourselves. But I feel that it's important to show people the good, the bad, and the ugly, because then people don't look at their own lives and think, well, I'm not doing that, or my life isn't perfect. Because ultimately, one of my favorite phrases when I talk about myself is that I'm perfectly imperfect. None of us is perfect. We don't lead perfect lives. We make mistakes, get things wrong, and that's life. And I think if we're a little kinder to ourselves and judge ourselves a little less harshly, we'll probably live a better life for it. And actually, the point Eugene was saying there, not just about comparison being comparing to someone and not knowing what's really going on behind all that. Are they enjoying their lives? Is it really what we see? But also, does it really matter? Does it really matter what other people are doing and how they're living their lives? Are we fulfilling our own goals? Are we doing the things that make us feel purposeful and happy? And if you actually focus more on your own kind of journey, I guess, in itself, then I think that will really help prevent you from looking at things that perhaps don't even matter. Does it matter what someone else is doing? If you feel happy in your life, if you feel that you're contributing to people around you, and you're feeling that you're getting enjoyment from your days, that is probably the thing to focus on.
And Eugene, obviously, off the back of that, you focus on yourself. I'm sure, as Alex has proven in the past, being there for others, though, is just as important, and even signposting when it comes down to the likes of the offering from AXA.
Yeah, it's critically important that we have an awareness of what other people are experiencing, and we feel comfortable enough to be able to have those conversations with them, to ask people how they're doing. The kind of water cooler conversations, but also it can be much more direct to the person. And I'm not talking about interrogating somebody, but it's sort of being there, being a friend, and being that awareness that you can see somebody's is struggling in some way or having some difficulty, and asking them how they are, how they're doing. And often, we'll hear people coming back and saying, well, I'm fine. But it's pushing again and asking twice. And we'd always talk about that asking twice is there's no really, how are you doing? So, and I think one of the things to add to that is maybe an expression of some concern or something that you've seen. I've noticed that, whatever's happening, that you're not being yourself, or I'm concerned about you because you've not been joining in as much as so you explain that a little bit more. I think can be really helpful to kind of get that person past that defensive part to actually talk about how they are genuinely feeling. And then it's about listening, isn't it, for people?
Yeah.
And once we finish that listening, is then trying to help them to get to the level of support that they need, because often people when they're experiencing poor mind health, they just don't think through how to get the help that they need.
Alex, anything that you'd add there?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think pretty brilliantly well explained. I think the big thing is that, for anyone that is struggling, and they're going through difficult mental health and even mental illness, it's very isolating. It's one of the cruelties of mental illness, is that you feel that you're alone. It's just you. It's what things like depression do to us. It's an inward illness. And so, when you ask someone how they are, or you show concern, or you express an element of "I see you," that makes people feel seen. And when they feel seen, they don't feel so alone. So I think I'd say to people, don't underestimate the value of asking how someone is, and showing concern, showing care. Connection and care can be the difference, literally, in life and death for many people.
Yeah, I think from certainly one point of view, I would point you towards Alex's socials for a lot of positivity there. So do check those out. Eugene, where can we find out more about the work that AXA are doing on this survey?
So you can look online and look up the AXA Mind Health Report 2024 version. So all of the information about what we've been talking about today, and how the mind health can be affected at work, and how we compare across the rest of the world, that's all there. Then AXA has a lot of information about mind health and mental health on a broad aspect, but there are some very specific things as well. So lots of information there. I've written a lot of stuff that's already in our websites, etc. So go have a look.
And Alex, give us your social details, so just so we can share those too.
So I'm on socials as @dralexgeorge across the platforms.
check out those details there. Well, for now, Dr. Alex George, social media guru effectively, and TV personality, and physician as well, which is the other important bit we talk less about these days, and Eugene Farrell, mental health leader at AXA UK. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
Now, there is a global water crisis, and things look purely like they're going to get worse. To tell us more, I'm joined now by the founder of One Water and the One Foundation, Duncan Goose. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Now, we already know that the world is struggling when it comes to getting good quality clean water to the right places. This is something which has been highlighted since the 80s in the media, and obviously has been around for even longer than that. But with climate change, things look like they're just going to get worse rather than better.
Well, I think it's actually a changing landscape. As you pointed out, the world has been struggling with water issues for a long time. And if you look at some of the data coming out of the UN, you would see that when we started back in sort of 2004-05, there was 1 billion people in the world that didn't have access to clean water, and that number has now come down to 703 million. So that's an enormous degree of progress. But as you say, climate change actually is throwing up different problems. So the challenges that people face today are now starting to be quite different to the ones that they were almost 20 years ago.
So we've got an evolving landscape, as you say, which means, though, that whilst great things are being done in some areas, we could start to see issues where currently a solution has been found, and we can expect potentially issues even in the first world countries who currently have water on tap.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are really a number of things at play here, and they're all linked to climate change, unfortunately. So you've either got too much water in the wrong place. So if you look at, even in the UK, but if you look at Southeast Asia at the moment, they've got massive amounts of flooding. You've got droughts in other parts of the world. So the Horn of Africa at the moment has got the worst drought for 40 years, which is affecting close to 40 million people. And then you've got other emerging problems with, as you said, contaminated water. So, today we're seeing Haiti being thrown up as the next cholera outbreak due to contaminated water. So climate change has a bearing on all of these things, and that will continue to evolve over the years ahead.
Yeah, and we're looking by 2025 potentially of 1.8 billion facing water scarcity. So again, this is going back up and undoing some of the brilliant stuff that's happened over the last 2 decades.
Exactly that. Yeah, almost half of the world's population at the moment are facing some degree of water scarcity. So what needs to happen is governments start to need to build in climate resilience programs to their water and their water security to make sure it's in the right place and they've got enough of it.
And funding behind the projects that we're talking about here is important to continue. But you've recently hit a massive milestone as well.
Yeah, we have, and today is World Water Day, which is the day that the UN recognises of looking at global water issues, and it also coincides with the fact that we've now helped 5 million people get access to clean water. We currently work in 4 countries, but over the last 20 years we've worked in different ones, and that 5 million lives is dramatic because it's not just about giving people access to clean water. It's enabling children to go to school rather than walk for hours a day to collect water. It's enabling people to, go in and have careers and grow their income through farming and things like that as well. So it has a massive impact.
How did you first get involved in the cause that we're looking at here, though?
It's sort of a funny story, really, in some ways. So between 1998 and 2000, I motorbiked around the world. I'd actually only popped out for a pint of milk, and I was going for a couple of weeks and came back 2 years later. But on that journey, I got caught in the middle of Hurricane Mitch, which was a Category 5 hurricane. It was the second largest hurricane recorded in history at that point in time. It did $6 billion worth of damage and killed over 10,000 people. And so I got to experience what life was like without access to clean water and what it was like to live under a Chinook helicopter bringing in aid relief. And when I came back from that, I wanted to try and do something that would create some degree of change in the world. And that led to the creation of the bottled water brand One, so called because when I started it, there were 1 billion people in the world without access to clean water. And that's what we've been doing. We've been selling water and changing people's lives.
And say this is absolutely huge. I mean, water is an absolute requirement. It is a right for life. It isn't something that should ever be optional. And the fact that so many people have to work so hard to get water into their own homes and their lives across the globe, even now, is a massive concern. Obviously, the work continues. It doesn't stop here. And with the new challenges, which we've already talked about, it's not only about the work that you do on the ground, but also the conversations that we can have to shape future development and to avoid, hopefully, some the more intense issues that could come out of global warming.
Exactly that. Yes, the world is changing, and I think as people look at what's coming down the line, everybody's talking about carbon emissions and how do we reduce that. What people might not realise is that 90% of all the natural disasters that occur in the world are water related. So it's either too much or too little water, and that's all caused by climate change. So that's what we're all facing into, and we need to take action against that.
So where can we go to find out more about the work that you do through the Water brand and, of course, the charity work behind it?
Yeah, so if you go to onewater.org.uk, that will take you to the bottled water side of the business, and also to the foundation as well.
So get online, get those details. On this World Water Day, let's start making more of a difference so we can not only reduce those who are impacted by the lack of clean, accessible water now, but to ensure that the numbers don't go up any further than they absolutely need to as we cope with the changing world around us. But Duncan Goose, founder of One Water and the One Foundation, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
That's a lot for this week. Thank you so much for joining me back with episode 771 over Easter. I'll see you then. Ta for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar.